crafting our patterns for this off-shoulder dress, the first thing we're going to do as usual will be to trace out our bodice block. This is my front bodice block. Trace it out as usual, and then you're going to lengthen your block according to your desired length. So you can see I've lengthened my block all the way down to the end. So depending on how long you want your dress to be, you just lengthen it with your desired length. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we're going to work on the upper side first. So to do that, I'm just going to cut it off from the waistline. Okay, and then I'm going to set the lower skirt aside. Now you're going to determine how deep your neckline will be. So for me, I want mine to be slightly deep. So from here, from my shoulder tip here, I'm just going to measure, say, about 18 cm. From here to here is about 18 cm. I put my mark. Then on my dart leg here, my first dart leg, I'm going to measure from my darts from here now. I'm just going to measure downwards, say about 12 cm, so that I can connect and create my sweetheart neckline very well. So you're going to take your curved ruler and then you connect it like so. Okay, so again on the other dart leg, you're also going to mark it down, say about 12 cm, just about the same thing from here to here, or you can just eyeball it and mark it like so. Okay, and now the next thing you're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of contouring. Now for off-shoulder clothes, we need to really contour the upper part very well. Contouring simply means taking off a little bit of removing excesses so that your pattern will be a lot fitter or will look better on your body. So we're going to remove a little bit of excess here so that our dress or the off shoulder will stay very well, to not be falling down. So please take note of how much I'm removing. It's really very important. So from here now, this place, this dart leg, I'm going to take off 3 cm. So I just measure like so. I'll take off about 3 cm like this. Okay, and then I'm going to connect this part to this part in a straight line like this. So we're going to take off this excess so that our off shoulder will not be dropping, like dropping, or it will be too loose here. Now we're also going to go to this other side as well. So you're going to measure on this side, you're going to measure 3 cm. So I'm just going to rule something like a straight line. This is my 3 cm. So I'm also going to connect it like so. Okay, now you can use your French curve to smoothen this part very well so that you don't have any sharp or pointy edges. Just connect it to the dart and then connect this part also very well. We don't want any sharp or pointy edges like so. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is from here now, these are our new dart leg, we're going to measure 3 cm. So from here to here, I'm just going to draw something like a straight line, 3 cm. I'm going to place my mark like so. Okay, now I'm going to come down my armhole. Remember, this is an off-shoulder dress, so you need a bit of space under your arm. It's not meant to be tight, so that you can lift your arms very well. So I'm going to take it down from here, say about 6 cm. Now it really depends on you. You may not take as much as this, but because my arms are really quite big and I want to be free, so I'm taking off about 6 cm. So you can do, or 6.5 cm. So you can do maybe 4 cm if you are really small, and if you're big like me, you can do about 6 cm or 6.5 cm, so that you have a little bit of room here. Now once you've done that, you're going to connect this point now to this point. Now if you don't drop your armhole a little bit, it's going to be tight and you're not going to be able to move your arms freely. So I'm just going to connect this like so. Okay, it therefore means that we will not need this part. Anyway, we will still need it for now, so let me not strike it out yet. I'm going to create the sleeve for it. So to do that, I'm just going to take my sleeve block and then place it on it. Okay, so I take my sleeve block. Now take note, remember when you drafted your sleeve block, the sleeve block usually have the front part with one notch here and the back part with 2 notches. Now if you don't have your sleeve block like this, no worries at all. Right here on YouTube, I have a tutorial, full detailed YouTube tutorial, where I showed how to draft your sleeve block. In fact, I'm going to leave the link in the description box below, so please go ahead and create one for yourself. It will really help your pattern drafting. So now I'm going to take this my sleeve block. Make sure it is the front part, because we are working with the front part here. So you're going to place the notch here, this is your notch on your sleeve block, against the notch on these parts on your bodice. So you place it like so. You see what I've done. Make sure the notch is matched, and also make sure these places are lined very well. Even if there is excess here, it's okay. That's actually the ease that was added to the sleeve block. It doesn't really matter. Okay, it's this, what matters is the 2 notches will be meeting like that. So you're going to use your serrated tracing wheel to draw this center line. Okay, so I'm just going to draw on it like this, because I want this line on my pattern paper. So just use it like this so that you can have this line. Okay, good. Now because this is a white paper, you may not be able to see it very well, but you can see that there are little dots on it. Now I'm just going to draw this line straight downwards like so. All right, okay, good. So now I'm going to connect this part. You see this part here, because I'm trying to form my sleeve. So I'm going to connect this part to this part. Okay, now to do that, you can either just measure from here, from this line here, you can measure it downwards, say by 8 cm, or you can measure it 10 cm. It really depends on you. So for me, let me just take 8 cm. Okay, and now you're going to use your French curve. Just connect it slightly. Remember, we are creating the sleeve. Just connect it slightly in a curve. Okay, so you're going to have something like this. Now you're also going to determine how big you want your sleeve to be, how wide rather you want your sleeve to be. So for me, I can measure from here and then maybe say about 13 cm. So from here to here, say about 13 cm. Now again, this is optional. Your sleeve can be a lot smaller like so, or it can be a lot bigger. You understand? So it doesn't really matter. So because I have big arms, I still want my sleeve to be a little bit wider so that I can cover my arms well. Now you can decide to do a sleeve that goes straight like this. It also depends on you. You can also decide to do a funky sleeve and curve it. So this is what I'm going to do. From here to here, I'm going to measure, say, about 25 cm. Now this is also optional. It depends on you. If you are way slimmer than me, then you can do it. You can reduce this length, and then you use your French curve to just to draw the curve just like so. Okay, good. So you have something like this. Now the next thing for us to do now is I'm just going to cut all the different pattern pieces for you to see. Right here now I have 3 pattern pieces. This one, which is the center front, and this one, which is the side front, and then this one, which is the sleeve. Now you're going to ignore this part, because this part we are going to add it to the sleeve. Okay, now let me quickly add my center front, indicate my center front so I don't get confused. Okay, so now I'm going to trim it off so that you can see how the pattern pieces look like. So here are the 3 pattern pieces we have. So the center front, the side front, and then this front of the sleeve. This sleeve is not complete yet. We're going to complete it with the back side. So I'm just going to indicate with my arrow. This is the top and this is the part that is going to be joined here. So indicate with your arrow, otherwise maybe you get confused. Okay, so our front pattern piece, the upper section, is ready. Now so far, do you have any questions? Leave them with me in the comment section. And also, if you're following to this point and it's very clear to you, please let me know in the comment section. If you're enjoying my tutorial so far, please don't hesitate to leave a comment for me to hear your feedback and know what you think about the tutorial. And then please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe please if you're not already yet subscribed, and share with your sewing buddies. Okay, for my returning subscribers, thank you so much. All right, good. So now let's go to the back side and then let's also drag the patterns for the upper section. So for the back side, you're also going to trace out your back bodice, lengthen it to be the same length for the front side, and then we're going to cut it off from our waistline. So for the back side, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to take your sleeve block and then you're going to place it like the way we did for the front part. Make sure the notches are matching. Just place the notches of your sleeve block against your bodice like so. Okay, yes, just like this. And then use your serrated tracing wheel to trace out your center line. Okay, so now I'm going to draw it out so that we can see it very well. Okay, so again I'm just going to measure from here on the back side about the same measurement I use for the front side. You can do between 8 cm to 10 cm is okay. So you just mark it here like so. Okay, so you're going to connect this using your French curve. So I'm just going to use my French curve to connect it very nicely, these 2 points together. Okay, oops. Now remember, you actually drop down your armhole. So whatever you use in dropping down your armhole for the front part is also what you're going to use to drop your armhole here. All right, but before then, I've just marked this. Before then, let us draw our back neckline. So you're going to measure and determine how deep you want your neckline to be. So for me, from this tip here, from my shoulder tip or my neck tip, I'm just going to measure it downward, say about 15 or 16 cm, just like so. Okay, so it depends on how deep you want yours to be. And then you use your French curve to connect them together. So you see what we have. So this is going to be my back neckline. Now for the back also, we're going to do a little bit of contouring, not as much as the front do, but we still need to contour the back a little bit, remove some excess so that it is not so that we don't have gaping and it is not excess. So from here now, this line here, I'm going to take off 1.5 on this side and 1.5 on this other side. Okay, and then, okay, let me continue with my pen. And then I can, now, you're going to draw it all the way down to your dart tip. Okay, let me use this. Like so, and then you draw this like so. So this is the excess that we are going to remove. Now remember that for the back side, we don't have bust in our back side, so we don't want these sharp edges at all. So we want to try as much as possible to remove it. So I'm going to use my French curve now and remove it very nicely. Now you see the part of the French curve I'm using, it's not really curvy like that, because we don't want any any bulges there. We don't have bust there, so we don't want any bust points to be showing. So you're also going to do the same thing for this one as well. So connect it nicely, just like this, to remove these parts. Okay, good. So you see, so we are going to eliminate all of these parts. All right, so if you are happy with what you have, you can redraw this with your pen. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mark from here 3 cm, just the way we did for the front side. So you give it a mark here, and then you're going to connect this mark to these parts, to your underarm. So you use your French curve and then you connect it nicely. Okay, and now remember the measurement of your sleeve for the front. So whatever you use here, so here I think I use about 13 cm. So you're also going to measure on these parts. Whatever is here, from here to here, is what you're also going to measure here as well, so that it will balance very well. Okay, so that's what we have. And then the length of our sleeve, you're also going to do it exactly the same thing. I use about 25 cm. So you're going to measure from here now, 25 cm. Oops, okay, this is not up to. I'm going to add a little piece of paper so that I can get it. Okay, so once you have your length, you're going to connect this part to this part using your French curve, like so. Okay, now we are going to trim off our patterns. So again, we have 3 patterns here. So we have this is going to be 4, 5 and 6. So I'm going to trim them off so that you can see them very well. Okay, so this is my back sleeve, so you also indicate it. So now this is what we have for the back side. Now to finish it off, we are going to join the sleeve together because we don't want a joining on the center line. So you're going to take the front sleeve and the back side, and back sleeve rather, then you're going to join them together. So place them together and use your Scotch tape to hold them together in place. So that way is going to be just one sleeve pattern, okay, just like so. All right, so that's it for the upper side. Okay, so for the lower skirt, you're going to determine where you want your little A line or something like that to start from. Okay, so you're going to measure from your hip where you want it to start from. So for me, I want mine to start from, this is my hip line, so I want it to start from maybe 15 cm below my hip line. So I'm going to mark it. Now yours can be a lot lower, it really depends on you. Okay, so you draw a line like so across it. Okay, now from the side seam, you want to give it a little shape. So you can go in maybe about 2 cm, depending on how you want it. 2 cm, 2.5 cm, it really depends on you. I don't want mine to be very fitted, so I'm just going in 1 cm. And then you connect it nicely like this to your hip line, just like so. Okay, so now you go to your hemline, and then on your side seam, you're going to determine how much you want to add to it for it to flare out a little bit. Now depending on how wide you want your flare, you can add that. So for me, I don't want it to be too wide, so I'm just going to add from here 15 cm. Okay, so if you want your flare to be a lot bigger, then you can add more than that. The more you add, the more bigger your flare is going to look like. And then you're going to connect from here all the way down to these parts. Okay, all right, so once you connect it like so, it means that we don't need this part anymore, this line. So I'm just going to erase it. We don't need this line again. But before then, okay, before I erase that line, because you want your pattern to balance very well. Now this is really very important. Because you want your patterns to balance very well, you're going to measure this line from where you started your flare. You're going to measure it downwards. Whatever you have, I've got 77 cm here, so you're also going to measure that value on this your flared line. Oh, it's not flare, is it flared line? On this your slanted line. So whatever value you got here, you measure it here so that it will be the same, like your patterns will match very well. So once you've done that, now let me use my pen to highlight it well so that you can see it. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to connect it nicely using your French curve. Okay, all right, so this is what we are going to have. And again, we don't want sharp edges here, so you're just going to use this to smoothen it out beautifully. Good, so that's it for the center front piece. So we're going to work on the back side. So for the back side, again, you're just going to measure from the hip line 15 cm or whatever you took for the front part where you started creating your flare. All right, okay, then on the side seam, I'm going to take it in just about 1 cm, like we did for the front side, and then I'm going to connect these 2 points together. Okay, so you connect the 2 points together like so. Okay, so now you go to the hemline. Remember, we're working on the side seam. You go to the hemline, and for the front part I added 15 cm. So whatever you added for the front part for yours, you do the same thing for this one, and then you're going to connect these 2 points together. And then remember to remove any pointy edges here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, you see this other part here on your center back line, you also want to shapen it a little bit. So from here now, I'm going to take off 1 cm. So to give it a little shape, you can take off maybe up to 2 cm or so, depending on how fitted you want yours to be. I don't want mine to be too tight, so that's why I'm just taking off 1 cm. Okay, now you go to the hemline. This is my center back line, because I want to have a train at the center back, so I'm just going to draw the measurement to create the train. So here now, which is my original hemline, I'm just going to drop it down a little bit, say about 8 cm or 10 cm. Now it depends on how long you want your train to be. So if you want your train to be really very long, then you can make this a lot longer. Otherwise, this is just fine. Now from here, now you're going to determine how much you're going to add to create that kind of train effect at the back. So for me, I'm going to add from this line now. I'm going to add about 30 cm. Now you can add more than this if you want. You can also add lower than this if you want. It really depends on you. Okay, so it depends on how wide you want it to be. Now you're going to connect this point here nicely to this your curve line. You can use a curve ruler, your French curve, to connect them together nicely. So I'm going to use my French curve now to connect them. Alright, so we're going to finish it off on this side. So you're going to connect this part to this part using your straight ruler. Okay, so that part is going to be, so you can see your train here at the back. Very nice and neat. Okay, alright. So you're going to trim off all the excess paper. So your pattern is going to look like this. Really, that's all for the pattern making for this dress, for the lower skirt and the upper side. Now the only thing is we're going to add your seam allowance and then place them on the fabric to cut them out. Okay, now the upper part, the frills or ruffles on the neckline, that is just flare. I cut them in flare and then I added them to the neckline to create the effect. Okay, so all the things about pattern drafting is all done. So far I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. Please, if you do, let me know in the comment section. Okay, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe. And of course, you know that for this outfit to come out really well, you need to sew it very nicely. If you want to learn how to sew like a professional, I showed 10 things that makes me sew like a professional. So check out this video that is going to play on your screen. Do well to watch it and follow all those steps, all those sewing tips that I give. It will actually help you to sew all kinds of outfits and they will all look professionally done. Okay, so I'll see you in my next class. Bye bye.